Okay everyone, here we have two Optimus 8s made in Sweden. You can see the details there, register number on them, and they also have the Swedish patent number on the box as well, as you can see here. These are unusual as they're Optimus 8s with aluminium cases rather than the steel. These only seem to have been sold in France, and both of mine were sourced in France. They were called the Optimus 8 Campingo Baby in sales literature of the time. The Optimus 8 with aluminium case appeared in France in 1937. The 8s had been in France from 1933, but with a steel case and earlier tank valve. Now, I'll just open these up so you can have a look. As you saw, the Swedish patent number 71018 is on both the cases at the end, and this is patented from January 1930, but the registration is actually 1927. It was for the design of the burner and tank, so this was used in different stoves. After 20 years the patent would expire, so they would only stamp the cases pre-September 1947. So this gives a date range for these two stoves as being 1937 to 1947. The tank lids and the PRVs are early models, but not the earliest, as the earliest lids were flatter and the tube from the tank exited at the bottom. They predated 1937, so again a 1937 date for earliest production of the aluminium case models would be a good idea. I would hazard a guess that Optimus were not producing aluminium cases during the war years, and they wouldn't have been exporting leisure products to France. I'm open to correction on that though. It's just a hunch. I do know there were restrictions on the use of aluminium in Sweden. The Steel Army M40 canteen versus the aluminium M44 canteen in Sweden being an example. So if we use that criteria, we can probably say that these date from either 1937 to 1940 or 1944 to 1947. There are French sales brochures from 1949 showing an aluminium cased 8. However, Optimus had a habit of reusing old material for their brochures, which makes them so difficult to date. There are no dates actually on the cases, the burners, the tanks or anything. We can say for sure that the brochure is from the 30s, recycled for the 40s, and there would not have been cases stamped with a patent number post 1947. Also, the brochure mentions the French Himalayan expedition, but that was 1938. They must have been popular, as there are a lot available, especially from France. They were marketed towards cycle tourers and were also used in the French Polar Expedition of 1948. And then, again, these could be units from the 1947 aluminium batches. So we're sticking to 1947 being the latest production for both these stoves. That makes them between 78 and 88 years old. And one of them, this one, still runs. The Optimus 8 is not self-cleaning, hence the pricker here. And this one here is the actual original that came with one of the stoves. It needs a bit of electrolysis or something to clean it up. In 1959, Optimus introduced the 8R, which had an inbuilt cleaning needle, and that marked the end of the Optimus 8. Okay, we'll just take the runner out of the way and have a look at the non-runner and just see what needs to be done. The case is in good enough condition. There is a hole in there. It's a bit bent here. The rivet is missing there for the clip, which would be steel. They usually rust away or get popped off. It's also missing, as you can see, the clip on the front, which was to hold it. I could use a strap from an Optimus 99, or I have some sprung steel which I'm thinking of using to recreate the two of these. If we have a look at the front, these two rivets were missing, so I had to put the rivet on a new on here to hold the tank. The tank on these and the windshield, this is needing cleaned, do come out. They're just held in by friction, basically, knobs, and you can take them out. The other thing that's missing on this has a pressure release valve in the lid, and it's missing a spring and a pip. There's a little pip that goes inside, made of rubber. Once the pressure gets too much, it will force the spring, the rubber, to move upwards against the spring, lifting up this central part here, which will release the pressurized fuel. Not a good idea to be near, it just gives a little flame most of the times. This pot support is almost rusted through. I do have a spare which I can use in the future. I've replaced the packing in here, but I really need to make up a jig so that I can remove this pipe from the tank. It's brass, so I have to be careful. They can be difficult to take off. I've got a funny feeling I will need to replace the wick. These work using heat to pressurize the tank and a wick to bring the fuel to here, which is inside there. You can actually see in there is a wick. It looks like a mop head, basically. At the bottom you have a very shallow, don't know if you can see that there, a very, very shallow spirit cup for preheating. A lot of people will put in a soldering or welding felt matte material in there, which helps to soak up more priming fuel. In the original instructions, they said that you were to cup the tank to warm it with your hands and then release the petrol or naphtha, Coleman white gas, into the cup and then burn it. That's very, very sooty, so I just use alcohol. It's a nice compact little number, and if we have a look now at the runner, the clips are there. loose but working. All the rivets are there, the handle. I need to polish the case, but it's in very good condition. These are a bit rusted, I'll clean them up. There are not that many dings. We do have the clip in the lid. This is not original, this is a reproduction key. I haven't taken this pressure relief back valve to bits because I'm worried that the spring will just crumble, and the springs are so difficult to find. The windshield, a lot cleaner. I've given it a little bit of a clean. The whole thing needs to be put into an electrolyte bath. This also came with a homemade metal plate to provide extra protection of using a large pan, just to keep the heat away from the tank. You don't want to get the tank overheated and overpressurized, because then you will get the jet coming out of there. Just noticed that the little pip on here has raised up, so hopefully it will still hold pressure. It did the last time. There's a nice patina on this, but it's not as in such good condition as the other one. So basically, when you're lighting this, make sure there's about 3/4 of a tank of fuel. Always remove the cap to depressurize it. Then add priming paste or alcohol or fuel to this and light it. It will then heat up everything. Some people like to move the heat shield away over here to heat this up even more. It doesn't say anything in the original instructions to do that, and I've always managed to preheat with the heat shield down just to be on the safe side. If you need to prick to clean the jet, this does unscrew, and just make sure that you don't take everything to bits. If you're very dexterous, which I am not, you can put the pricker through there to do it, but I will just usually give it a clean that way. There is, on this key and any of the other keys as well, a valve removal. Makes it easy to remove the valve. So it just goes on there, you give it a twist, and then you can take out the jet. As you can see, this fuel comes through to that, which is also always an encouraging sign when you have an old stove. There's no blocks or anything anywhere. Now here we have a felt pad that I've taken from my sphere, just to give you an idea. I'll just try and get it in. Okay, so there we have the felt pad put in, just to hold a bit more fuel. Everything has been pricked, everything has been pressure released. We'll just make sure that it's off. We have fuel. We have bioethanol to prime. Okay, got the fire blanket just in case. And we'll just add our alcohol to here. Yep, it's nice and ready. A little bit has spilt. That doesn't matter, it's still heating everything up. Now what I prefer to do myself is just wait until all the alcohol has burnt off. I'll also take this out because it overheats, and then I will use a lighter to start it. It's not what everybody does. A lot of people will wait until the flames have almost gone down and then turn it on, and you will get the start. It's always a bit of a trepidation when you've got a stove that's older than 80 years old. I have checked everything. It looks like all the valves are fine. Right, we shall give it a check and see if we're getting anything. And there we go. It's a yellow flame. You get that distinctive roar, and as it heats up it will turn more blue. Hopefully we can see that. We just find a sweet spot of the stove, which is probably there. For an old stove, it works fine. And listen to that sound. Always take the key out because it will overheat. Right, let's just see if we can zoom in a bit. And there we have it. A stove over 80 years old and still running. Well, it's burning a bit yellow now. There's probably still old fuel in it, etc. Now to turn it off, we just turn clockwise and that turns it off. and that is the Optimus 8, aluminium bodied, pre-1947. Lighter than the steel cased Optimus 8s and a good little runner. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. Even better, subscribe and see more. Subscribing really helps the channel to grow and means I can bring you more stoves and interesting things to look at. Anyway, see you all next week. Bye bye.